Hi guys, welcome back to the Social Tune. And happy New Year! I know that 2025 is off to a rough start for a lot of you, and I'm hoping that by doing this, I'm at least giving you something to look forward to later on this year. And for me at least, now that I've completed the year-end lists with the best and worst songs of 2024, as well as the best albums of last year, my year finally feels like it can start properly. And while normally I would probably just make a community post to tell you the one or two things that I have planned for the rest of the year, well, there have been some pretty big updates in terms of my life and in terms of this channel and brand that mean that I'm going to tackle the Social Tune very differently than was originally planned for the next year. First, and not exactly foremost, but I actually hit 2,000 subscribers. 2,200 actually. So yeah, thank you everyone who has joined this channel in the past month. And to those of you that have been here even longer, thank you so much for still tuning in. It means so much to me and it feels so surreal that so many people give two shits about what I have to say. And one way or another, you're joining at a very interesting time. Because, okay, let's just get the most important news out of the way first. The blog is ending. That's right, for those of you who have tuned in regularly to read along with my weekly chart series, Musical McCool, I am sadly bringing that to a close, and unfortunately it's not entirely by choice. Some of you have notified me in the last month that whenever you wanted to go to my blog, you kept getting an error whenever you tried to access the website. To those people, I am well aware, but I still really appreciate your concern in reaching out to me. And I suppose that this is your official update because the host that I made that website on, Wix, which I'd already been considering leaving anyway, sent me a bill at the end of last year that was, not exactly reasonable. The amount of money that they wanted me to pay in order to keep that website up and running, it just wasn't worth it. I mean, I do enjoy the blog, and I did at least pay them to keep a hold of the domain for now, but I realized that the main joy that it was giving me was to be able to have a space where I could share my thoughts about Irish charting music, and the question became, do I really need the blog, which is costing me way more money than it should, to keep doing that? Because here's the thing, I started that website in the middle of the pandemic, right at the end of 2020, and at the time it was because I really couldn't see myself making videos anymore. The truth is, and I've never really talked about this, but back at the end of 2019, I quit YouTube. Some of you may remember that video, even though it's since been privatized. And to be honest, aside from all the other reasons that I listed in that video, I was in a very insecure place at the time, coming out of a not-so-great relationship and not entirely sure where my life was going at that point. And I'm also not afraid to say this, I was acutely aware of how much better the content that my peers were releasing seemed to be when compared to mine. And the real reason that I quit YouTube was that I felt like my voice was no longer really adding anything to the conversation. And I say all this not for sympathy, but to make it clear that the last 4 years have been incredibly validating for me. When I pivoted to talking about the Irish charts, it felt exciting and fresh and new. Something unique to myself and only a handful of other creators. We were the only ones really talking about it. In other words, I found a whole new level to my passion of talking about music and being a content creator. And if that all sounds entirely too self-important, it fucking is to a degree, and I have no doubt that some of my friends who are watching this are going to be tearing into me later on. But the truth is, I'm proud of what I've built, and I feel like I'm in a much more stable place now, at least emotionally. So losing the blog, it does suck because even the past posts that I made are no longer really accessible to you all, but it also feels like setting down a crutch that I've been leaning on for a little bit too long. So yes, from here on out, the Social Tune will be fully returning to your screens. Video is my preferred medium after all, and to be honest, while I do think that my writing has vastly improved over having to hone it for the past 4 years, I can't wait to hone those same talents into video scripts, and finally start focusing on some of the ideas that I've had buzzing around up here for the last few years. So yes, it does mean that the weekly series Musical McCool is done, and that's not really coming back in any form. But it also means you can expect to see a lot more content here on this channel. a return to top 10 lists, both best and worst retrospectives, others that are a bit more tailored to my personal tastes. For example, I actually have a top 10 songs list by a specific artist ready and waiting, it just needs to be filmed, and hopefully will be released sometime this year. Alongside more Irish content, I'm not just gonna stop looking at the charts, as for example the Hot 100 ranking from worst to best for 2024. That'll be coming out in a couple of months from now. And for those of you who stuck with me and really enjoyed a lot of the content that I've been putting out on my blog, I will be taking some of my best work that I wrote there over the last few years and adapting them into videos, with of course a few updates in order to adapt them to my ever-evolving tastes. And yes, this does include the social archives, meaning that for those of you who are nostalgic about my older material that for one reason or another YouTube has taken down and I've had to post elsewhere, I'm going to be spending any spare time I have when I'm not working on fixed new projects, re-editing older videos and then re-uploading them on here, while hopefully still adhering to YouTube's dumb guidelines. It likely won't be monetizable, but at the very least you should be able to view it. And finally, what about new and contemporary music? Well, the year-end lists are always going to exist, that's not going to change. But this is where, generally, I want to put a bit more emphasis on the part of my audience that is interested in the Irish music. Like I said, I will continue tracking the charts and I will continue putting year-end lists together for Ireland. Might even do the occasional US song review, if it's impactful enough and it gives me enough material. But the truth is, a lot of the music that crosses over in Ireland comes from the UK, or Europe, or the States. And I want to keep platforming the local artists who I have been discovering and championing over the last few years. Which is where we come to our last bit of new content, which you can expect to see a lot more of. A new series that I will be keeping to shorter, primarily vertical videos on YouTube, Instagram, and yes, TikTok. Yes, I'm finally caving right as it's about to be banned in the United States. This series will focus entirely on all Irish music, using a little-known chart that I've mentioned before called the Homegrown chart, that will endeavour to platform new local artists and introduce them to the rest of you. Although, while I will remain constructive for the most part, I'm still going to be giving my own opinion on each song. So coming soon to this channel, you can check out the brand new series, Homegrown Heroes. You'll always know the way back home. Yes, I like alliteration. Now, if you're still a little confused as to what that series will entail, you can actually check out the pilot, which will be dropping on this channel very soon, where I will be looking through and reviewing the full top 20 Homegrown chart for the first full week of 2025. Not so much ranking them as reviewing each song and the act behind them individually in a bit of detail in order to introduce you to the current players in the game. So keep your eyes out, that'll be the next big video on this channel, and the start of a brand new series that I really hope you come to love as much as I already do. And that's everything for now. I hope this gives you a clear picture of what to expect from this channel in the next year, and I hope it excites you. And if you're not excited just yet, trust me, I think you will be once you start to see more of my ideas come to the forefront. It's going to be a lot of fun, so excited to have you all along for the ride. And until the next time, I'm Finn, and this is The Social Tunes, signing off.